Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in online to Flutter Atlanta. Today, exciting, we have a guest speaker. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to Black Airplane. Thank you for the pizza and this awesome space that we get to use. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Danielle. She's talked all over before, and today she's going to be talking about the Casual Games Toolkit.
Round two. Thank you, Emmett. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. This was interesting because we were having technical difficulties. I got to see Emmett do that twice, and he did not have the patience the second time. First time was going through, and here we are.
Show on the road.
Anyway, yeah, today we're going to explore Flutter's Casual Games Toolkit, the second version of that, which is pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here. What we're going to talk about today is going to be, I'll give you a little bit of an overview of things. Which I guess this is technically part of, and why games? Why should I care about games? I don't play games very much anymore. I don't do much. So what are games good for then? From this, why should I care even though that? And I don't know. We may have some people in the audience or here that are avid gamers, and that's cool too. But in this case, I'm really kind of talking to people that want to have like a fun project to work on. So we'll talk about that. The Casual Games Toolkit. We're going to introduce that. Take a look at where we can get it and what we can. What we can expect out of it. It's got three main templates. It's got a couple of other templates in there that grow on those that we'll talk about. And again, kind of with the why, we get more out of this than just games. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I'll wrap up and, just like in high school, I'll tell you what I told you. So, all right, I'm Danielle Cox. I was a little bit amused when I saw that I was a guest speaker here because and I get it because it's been Emmett ever since I've been here. Every week, every month has been Emmett talking. So I really am a guest from that standpoint. But this is my group. I'm here in Atlanta. I'm not visiting. I make the 2-hour drive, pretty much every month to try to get here. And so it's a lot of fun. I want to support that. I really want to take a moment to thank Black Airplane very much as someone that doesn't work for Black Airplane, and saying that the fact that they care about the Flutter community. I mean, they make money on Flutter. They're a great Flutter shop from everything I know. But the fact that they care enough about the community in general to actually have us here, they bought us pizza. You can't see the pizza, but they bought us pizza and drinks and stuff like that. And it's just it's a really nice thing. I mean, I tried to get a Flutter group started when I lived down in Florida, and couldn't find a place, couldn't find anybody to do it. So having someone that cares is really important. So, all right. Well, I know a lot of the people in the audience know who I am, but. And the people, most of the people here probably know who I am, but I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Danielle Cox, like I said, and Flutter is my day job. I'm a team lead at a company called Ardley, and it's kind of an interesting thing because we know people for like one-time shot type apps. They're not going to install an app, so we've got an app that we've written, but it's actually over the web. So it's kind of a weird place where it's Flutter, it's web, but it's really an app. Let's get down to it. You treat it like that. There's a group called the Flutteristas, started way back in the day by Emily Fortuna. And when they left Google, they asked for volunteers, and I was one of the people that raised my hand. I see Steph's out in the audience. She's another one that immediately raised her hand. And so, we've got quite a few of us that are organizing that group now. And it's a group for female and non-binary identifying Flutter enthusiasts. And that's pretty much the requirements. Be female and non-binary, like Flutter, and agree to the same policies that Google has and everybody else has. So that's pretty much it. So if any of you out in the audience would like more information about that, my DMs are open on Twitter/X. So feel free to hit me up there. I'm also a member of the Flutter community. So if any of you watch, so I see Randall out there too. He's a much more senior member of the community than I am, but. If you watch Humpday Q&A on Wednesdays, I'm often there. I try to be there every week, but for example, this week I couldn't make it, so we do that. If you want to hit me up I mentioned Twitter/X, it's at I'm a figure skater. And if anybody's wondering, I haven't had a pair of skates on except for a social thing in 15 years, but it's once you have that email and Twitter handle and stuff like that, you keep it, I guess. So that's that, and that's my LinkedIn there. So if anybody wants to connect with me, catch me there because you don't like X, great, not a problem. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Flutter Games Toolkit. All right, so I need to kind of introduce what it is. What is it? Well, Um, you know, when people think of games, especially cross development, they're thinking things of Unity, things like that. And that's still got its place if you're doing like a big 3D type, platform or whatever. That's going to be where you want to go. But it was kind of filled a void because there's a lot of us that like Flutter. We know Flutter, and we want to use what we know with stuff. And so, back in previous history, a couple years ago, we had to like basically roll your own on everything. And so Philip Ratchick, I believe, is the one that spearheaded this, but he put together the first version of the Flutter Casual Games Toolkit. And when we got 3.16 Flutter release, they actually updated it to a version 2. And so it's neat. They added more templates, and there's a couple things we'll talk about that I think I like what they did. So there's the second version, and there's 3 games that are included with the toolkit, and we'll go over each of them. Actually, we'll run each of them. So, all right. So why games? Why would I want to work on a game? Like I said, I don't play games. I don't. That's not something I do every day. I have my Xbox. I hardly ever use it. So why would I want to do a game? Well, there's quite a few reasons why you might want to develop on a game. One is games can be fun. Especially if you're doing something like after hours to work on your Flutter skills and stuff like that. Doing more of the same thing you do all day long that can be just as stressful as your day job is. So if you can learn but do something that's a little more fun, I think that's a great thing. One thing I like about games, when I interviewed to be a dev role at Google a couple years ago, and one of the things I brought up when they were asking that thing is I thought games were a great way to teach people stuff because they've got a definite set of rules, and so things that you normally have to think out for business logic, you can do. You would do this, but them. They're easy to understand. So think of like if you were writing a blackjack game, for example. Okay, well, if the total number of the cards is more than 21, you lose. If you have exactly 21 when they deal it to you, that's a blackjack. If the dealer has it, you have more than you do, whatever. My point is the fact those are definite sets of rules, and so you can use those to code in. And so that's something that actually really helps you maybe practice your business logic going on, but you're not having to also innovate necessarily what the business logic is at the same time. So I think that's actually a great reason to do that because once again, we're trying to learn stuff. And by the way, if that is the part you want to work on, then you get to be creative and figure out what you want to do there. It's also a great chance to work on the art of our UI. When I'm working at my day job, I have to, I'm given a design. I have to implement that design. I don't have lots of, art is basically a form you're filling out, so I don't have animations to work on. I don't have a lot of stuff like that. So I think that working on a game, how it looks can be very important. And so I think that's something that helps us work on. And you can learn new skills. You'll see when I talk about there. Let's say you don't know how to, log into Firebase. Well, a game might very well need you to do that. And so those are good reasons to learn some of this stuff. And in fact, the templates can actually help you with that. And then you make your game, and it's good. Publish it. Show off your work. And that has the advantage of maybe getting some catching lightning in a bottle and having something good happen. But it's also something that you can always show off later on with, hey, I did this, things like that. So those are the reasons why I would suggest that working on games is a good idea. So that brings us to the Flutter Casual Games Toolkit. And this is just a screen grab of that first page, but I think we can go to it real quick. Let's see. Wrong way, sorry. Oh, I see what's happened here. Got it, fine. I should have had that on a different window. That's going to be interesting. Okay. So here's the Flutter Games Casual, and you'll see that it's got normal things like Flutter. It's free and open source. We're going to show how to do multi-platform games. It has some packages and integrations built into it. We'll talk about that. And like I said, three templates, and we'll go from there. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the first template. The first template, you can't really call it a game, but it gives you all of the background stuff you need. So we can take a look for how that would work. So if we go to basic here, and let's kick it off. I should have done this part first. We were having technical difficulties, so I wasn't thinking about it. Anyway, the purpose of this game really, okay, so if you see, okay, so we've got our our template, showing up here. It's telling us that, right? I've got settings. I've got some. Yeah. Is it going to play? It's not going to play my audio, or is it going to play my audio? Do we know?
It won't play your audio.
Okay. All right. So I can come in here. I can select a level, and this game, all it wants me to do is to drag the slider to 5% or above, and now I won.
Nice.
Now it's playing music. Now even the people here can't hear it because it's not playing because of the way we're hooked up. But it's playing music, and it's doing some really cool kind of victory noises. I think some of them actually Philip recorded, like going "yay" or whatever, things like that. So it's definitely. I'm going to show once I get unplugged. I'm going to show everybody here actually how that works. And so, it steps you up so you can go to the next one and you know what it's doing. And so anyway, like I said, it can hardly be called a game, but it gets us in the template and lets us know. Now, version 1, this was it. This is what we got, And then Philip published a version of tic-tac-toe written with it. But this was the basic what you got with it. All right, so that is the basic template. And let's take a quick look at kind of the code here. So if we look at it here, we'll see that we've got different things going on with settings, the audio controller. This is actually, for people who don't know, Philip was a DevRel at Google for years, and then needed to move back home, and so he left, and so that's pretty cool. But we come in here, and it's set up with, all right, so this is pretty simple the way it's set up, going through there, and so we've got the code here, and we can go and change, what we need to with it. Oh, it's using GoRouter, which is one of the things. It also uses Provider in other places. So this is kind of what the sample code looks like, and it gets us there. And so, like I said, it's playing music in the background, and it's got sound effects when things happen, and it's paying attention to what's happening. So that's the first template. That's worth running that, and then if it's got what you need, run away with it. That's not a problem. Okay. But okay, let's see. Go back here. Okay, good. Okay. So I need to go. Okay, fine. All right, I'm figuring this out now. Okay. So that was the first template. All right, they've got a second template. All right, it's a very simple card, again, game. Okay, and I like this because it's got dragging and dropping. That's something that I don't get to work on in my day job. And so if it weren't for playing a game or trying to do something like that, I wouldn't know how to do it. I mean, I got the ideas, but having built some games, to work on animations and things like this, it's not hard. And this gives you a good example of it. And like I said, I also like how the code's organized because we're paying attention to someone that is well respected in the Flutter community. And we can see how he went ahead and organized his code. He's using Provider. He's using GoRouter. So those are some good things that when people wonder what they should do or not. So let's go ahead and go back here. Let's go over to card. Let's play card. And once again, this one has got a little bit more going on, but it gives us an idea and a jumping off place to work with things. So, okay. So again, it's changed a little bit on the template, and you come in here, and I've got a little hand of cards here, and really all this game right now is I just pick one spot. I'm divvying the cards up, and once I've divvied all the cards up, then then it says I won. But again, this is a great jumping off point because you're not looking for the logic of a game. You're looking for how can I take something and then modify it to do what I want it to do. So I could definitely imagine starting with something like this and maybe creating like a once we get into multiplayer, maybe creating a game of spades or whatever you could do, or Crazy Eight or something easy. We do stuff like that. All right, so that's the second template. Now, let's see, go back here, go back to here, okay, fine. All right, the third template though, is where the magic is starting to happen. Okay. Oh, I didn't change, that's fine, okay, great, I get to be a little bit extemporaneous here because I didn't update my bullet items for that one. That's fine. Okay, so this one actually makes use of flame. And it's showing a very simple, like you're running along and jumping and stuff like that. which would look very familiar to anybody that you know is of the age that's played Mario or things like that. You know, so let's take a look at wrong. Okay, let's take a look at that. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so if we go over here to Endless Runner and we play that, and we can see where we're coming up with this. And again, I want to look a little. So all right, so this code was not done by Philip. So I probably want to compare them a little bit and just see how things are a little bit. So this was done in Flame. But you can still see the template's still the template, right? And I hit play, and I'm going to hit level 2 is locked, right? So you have to make it through level 1 before you can unlock level 2. And you start it up. I mean, take a look at this. This is templated code, you know. And so you can. Why is it not jumping for me? All right. Well, it's not. Okay, I say that, but right now it's not moving for me. So I don't know what I've got going on. Yeah. All right, well, okay. Live television, I guess. It's not actually playing for me, but the whole point is the fact that it just keeps going and, you know, it goes ouch. By the way, whenever he gets hit, he's going ouch. I wish you all could hear the video, or the audio, I mean, because, you know, it's really cute while it's happening. And like I said, the people here I'll be able to show afterward, but it is cute. It really is. So, all right. So let's take a look here. Let's go back to card for a second. And if we take a look here, you'll see that you know, Philip has set up the streams for when changes happen. You know, and he's got a. I come down here. He's got that's the playing area. I need to go to. Let's go to main. Sorry, that's where I wanted to be. I was looking at some other stuff earlier with it. But if you take a look, you know, he's using some things down here, but then when he comes in, he's using multi-provider. And it's, you know, he's setting up providers for everything so he can get to them. He sets up streams to handle listening to when the cards are moving around, stuff like that, when things are winning, and stuff like that. So, you know, this is not how I would do it if I were writing the code. But it's a great example to see how someone that knows a lot of how they're doing it. And so I think that's really kind of a nice thing to do. Now, if we go over to the Endless Runner, you're going to see this is organized totally different. So this is all in a Flame game, right? So if we look at this main, you'll see that it's still got the providers going on. So that's what's going on. But once it starts playing, it's going to so it's copying. They've created their own NES theme. Like I said, it'd be familiar for anybody that's played Mario back in history. And you know, so it's showing how it runs does this. So. And then, like I said, it's using Go Router. So if you're not familiar with that, it's now Google supported. It's originally Chris Sells, I believe. And anyway, this is how we, you know, how it goes through the different routes. And so the play route here is going to level selection screen, and you'll see that we're going to start. You know, so once we've selected our level, then we're going to you know, it's got. It's great code to go through, but then we go to session, so play session. And so if you look at down here, session level, you can see that it's actually coming in here and it's doing game screen, which is, you're full in the Flame world now. And so you're able to do quite a lot with Flame in games. So I guess what I'm saying is if you're just trying to learn how to put a game out and try to get your business logic right for it and maybe work on some simple animations that you want to do yourself, go with the card template. But if you really want to start trying to make something that might be, you know, fun in a modern, more modern world, maybe a retro still look, but you know, take a look at this template and see what you can do. And you'll see in a minute that there's a lot you can do with it. So, all right. So I need to go back here. Okay, sorry about the slide being wrong. All right. So what I'm saying here is that if we go work on the games here, it's more than just games. Okay. This right here will give you audio integration. I know the times I've tried to make audio work, it's been a struggle. I've not loved my experience trying to play audio in my Flutter programs. So having a great example here, you know, a package I can rely on, things like that, is really good. We're going to talk about it, but there's a template here with ads, which is pretty cool. There's a template here with. There's sample. I guess they're calling them samples, not templates, but also with multiplayer with some Fire-based integration. And this gives us a great example to look at some package usage of packages we may not be using in our day job or what we've used before. General code organization, like I said, to see how someone that's great at Flame organizes their Flame code. See how someone that's great at just Flutter is organizing their Flutter code. Those are some great examples that you can see. And once again, I'm hoping that when you do it, you're having fun with this code, versus something that might be more dry, or how many to-do apps do you need to write in your lifetime, So, and like I said, you can show off your work. It gives you an example once you're done. You've got something that you might want to share with friends and stuff like that. Whereas once again, they don't need another to-do app. So let's talk about my conclusions here before we head off to one more thing I want to show you. And that is, I think that games, and I hope I've shown you, games are a great way to learn new things. So we can do that.
Hi there. It's currently 7 p.m.
I have an alarm going off on my phone.
Today's low is 58 degrees, and the high is 81
That is very weird.
degrees. Today's
There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I wasn't planning. I put my computer on Do Not Disturb. And Randall's going, thank goodness it wasn't on Humpday. I'm sure. All right. So I think games are a great way to learn stuff. I think the Casual Games Toolkit is an amazing place to jump off at. I think they've done a wonderful job putting this out there. And in fact, actually, if you take a look at it, the Flutter team has thought that games are important enough that their last two big coding challenges have been game related. We had the 15 puzzle last year or 2 years ago or whatever it was, year and a half. I guess it was last year. I think it was last year. And this year, the game challenge that they've got going on. I think entries have closed for it. And everybody here knows that Flutter is a great solution for pretty much everything. And I think that it's going to be great for a lot of types of games if you actually really want to write a game. And there's going to be more to come. I know that they're working on 3D, so at some point we might be able to write those bigger, gumes in a Flutter package. So, all right, what I would like to show you now is, I guess it's starting over. Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Here's a real example. Okay, so if you go to super-flutter.dev, you will see but here's a game written in Flutter, and you can tap space to start, and then going through here, you're jumping, you're but I've got that, but you see up here as you're getting things, and then boom, and like I said, it's got great audio. I wish I could share the audio with you, but here's an example that was written. Using the Flutter Casual Games Toolkit, just showing you what you can do with it. And you can see it's actually pretty much using from the Endless Runner as a template starting with. I think it was written by Very Good Ventures that they put this out, kind of. So anyway, so that is the Casual Games Toolkit. And all right, any questions?
Will you also go to pinball.flutter.dev?
Of course, yes.
That one is very impressive to me.
It is. Yeah.
To know that this was made with Flutter is very impressive.
Yeah, I didn't go to this one because I don't think this was written with the toolkit.
No, just another Flutter game example.
Absolutely, yeah, but show what's possible. This is a lot of fun. I wanted my Firebase earrings, but we're gonna go with this. So, yes. Well, I didn't hold down enough on the space bar. I don't think that any virtual pinball games really get the feel of that plunger well enough. Yeah, but anyway, this is Flutter.
That's awesome. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. So they've always been showing off, and once again, good sounds. This has great audio going on with it. As everything's happening. But if you look at that, that feels great. It feels natural playing it. From having lost way too many quarters playing pinball back when I was a kid. But yeah, so that's examples of what can be done in Flutter. Flutter is if you put pixels on it, and most games are pixel based, Flutter is usually a good solution. And they're working on, Impeller's going to help a lot on being able to get a 3D engine going, and I know people that are working on 3D, on their own 3D stuff that are kind of on hold, waiting to see what the Flutter team does. But once that happens, then Flutter's going to be a great solution for just about any game out there you want to do. And I would expect, being open source, that we're going to end up with a lot more packages that are going to help us do some of the things that, for example, Unity will do for you with some of the physics, things like that. Once we get into that world, I can't imagine that we're not going to get good packages with that, and it'll be a lot cheaper if you actually create one, like, than what they end up charging. So.
Randall had one question. How does this compare with Flame and Rive?
That's a great question, Randall, of course. And I appreciate you asking it because I know you know the answer. So I thank you very much for that. It's not they're not the same thing, okay? You can use Rive or you can use Flame to write your game, to do the what you're doing. Okay, that'll take care of that. Okay, so you would use Rive or you would use Flame to write the UI for your game. I mean, it's amazing the things they can do with that. I don't want to have to write my own sprite collision detection kinds of things. I don't want to have to do any of that kind of stuff like that. I don't have to write my own event loop even, where I'm having to keep track of what's going on, where it's moving. So that's where you would use Flame and Rive. What the Casual Games Toolkit would do would give you a place to put that part of the app. So this has the part that you would need to set up that, just the part up at the front, where you're picking a level, where you're doing that, the routing, stuff like that. I would think that Flame would handle its own audio probably. So to make that part easier. It also though, we didn't even talk about, and I had something I thought, but let's go look at that real quick. Let's look at some code here real quick. I forgot about this part, but if we look here at the samples, this is one of the things that's really cool. Come on, all right, that's fine. Just gonna get going. If we take a look here, what we'll see that it's got let me just read these. Okay, so basically there's a sample in here that will, if you run it on an iOS or an Android device, it'll use their link for ads, but it'll actually go get and display a banner ad. And I know lots of people have asked me, how do I do that? There's an example, a working example here of it. Unfortunately, I don't have my Android stuff set up well enough to run it right now, apparently. So that was what I was doing before I left. It did take me 2 hours to get here, so actually 2 hours and 10 minutes. So yeah, so this is a great example on ads. And then it also has down here for the multiplayer, it's got an example here. This you do have to go through your Flutterfire configuration, which I have not done on this Mac. But this has an example, working example here of logging in and tracking a multiplayer game. And this is using the card game for that. And so you can actually set it up with a multiplayer in the sample here. So I mean, once again, I think these examples are amazing.
Let's clarify, the multiplayer example is for turn-based multiplayer, not for any sort of real-time multiplayer. You will not be able to do that with Firebase. They have a max read and write time of 1 document per second. So if you want any sort of, like if you're looking for a real-time multiplayer game, you'll need like a server socket set up with a real server.
In FlutterCon in Berlin last year, Craig was talking about his journey with that, and trying to get it was Pong. He created a Pong game, and there's a great talk on that of how he was using Firebase with that and how it turned into a humongous struggle. So you do have things like that you have to be able to be aware of. Absolutely. All right. Any other questions?
One other thing to note with the ads example is only going to be supporting mobile.
Yeah, it's only Android. Otherwise, I'd show you on my Mac part. Yeah, absolutely.
So But the best part, I think, is you can build a game. I got into software development building games. The fact that you can build a game with Flutter and have it run anywhere
Is
to
amazing.
share with any of your friends is
Absolutely
the
amazing.
most magical part of it.
Absolutely it is, yeah, absolutely. It is really cool. Yeah, last year for the 15 game, I actually had it. My 15 puzzle was actually released on the iOS store, as well as it was hosted on the web, for when they were judging and stuff like that. So yeah, it works really well for that, and you get all the Flutter stuff you get, which is amazing. And the engine is powerful enough that in most cases it can keep up with it. If you're interested in games, especially with Flame, Craig on his Thursday series just went through a series of working on like a little zombie kind of game with lots of zombies working through, and he had guests on that helped him improve it because he did get to where it was slowing down a lot with all the stuff he was doing, and very quickly a game event loop is a place to really start learning about optimization, because if you don't, little things become big things because you're running them so often. So,
I was thinking about what you just said, that the game loop is a place for optimization. Like, could you compare that to how we treat the build function and how you want to be reducing as much because the build will be happening,
Oh, absolutely,
very often.
absolutely. Except for, if I'm going to be honest, most of the time Flutter's good enough in that build function you can be horribly inefficient, and you're not going to notice. If you're horribly inefficient with a game with much stuff going on, you're going to notice.
Got it.
So yeah, no, I think it's very good for that. It's people of my generation. I've been coding for 40 plus years now. So people of my generation, we had to deal with being efficient, things like that. The way things have gone, I think a lot of people who are starting to program now haven't really had a lot of experience with having to be, better. The hardware, the software, all this stuff is really bailed them out a lot. And so the whole idea of having to really optimize things is maybe a lost art a little bit. And so it's kind of neat to go through and have to profile something and see where you're losing the time and figure out why. But it's happening because I'm rebuilding this thing, way too many times. But like I said, in most cases, I really think Flutter is performant enough that you're not going to really notice. Which has the downside of then people don't learn how to do it right.
That's probably one of the bigger learning curves between normal Flutter development and game development. Game development, like Flame, they offer that render loop.
Yeah.
So instead of a build method, you're going to basically get a function that's going to have how much time it was since the last time it ran, and then you're going to be responsible essentially for every single frame when it renders. Versus on Flutter, you can minimize how many times the build function's called. That render loop's still technically happening in the background to make the pixel show, but you get lower level control this way. So for people learning, you're going to know really even more ins and outs than just normal Flutter app development.
Yeah, I mean if you want to have some, you get a lot of optimizations for free in that build loop. If you got a stateless widget and none of your parameters have changed, it's not rebuilding, right? So you get that for free. You don't have to worry about whether I need to rebuild this one or not. In a game loop, you're gonna have to be a lot more aware of, I want this to happen there or not happen there. Like I said, Craig's series, it's a long series. It's maybe more than you'd want to watch just going through all of it, but it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely good to pick up certain things. And like I said, the best part I got out of it really was a little bit of setup, so you can learn how Flame works. Because Flame is definitely a little bit of a different animal, written in Flutter, but it's definitely going to do things differently without setting up. And the second thing is the part I really liked was when he was working on is, I can't remember what he called it now, but basically it was when he was optimizing the where the zombies were moving and stuff like that. And he had Wolfen on for a few episodes, or at least a couple episodes, helping him with optimizing that, and the people, other Flame people in the comments that were definitely in there. So again, it's another thing that shows in the middle of the day. So if you're at a day job or whatever, you're not going to get to watch it live, which is kind of sad. But but you can definitely catch it. But that's I'm pretty sure they'd end up doing that to have people all over the world being able to have a chance, being awake for it.
Michael also mentioned in the chat another package called Forge 2D, which is the Flutter port of Box 2D, which is a very popular 2D physics engine. It's actually a plugin for Flame. So if you were to go on pub.dev and search Flame, they have tons of plugins already from their community that have been built specifically if you need physics, if you need audio, if you need a tile-based game. They have packages for essentially all of that. Even all of your favorite state managements, they have, Flame Block. I think there's a Flame River Pod, Flame Provider, which is going to be a Flame version of the state management that you're accustomed to.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know that packet. I don't know that, but yes, absolutely on that part. Agreed. Thank you for the suggestion there. And one other thing I wanted to say on that. Now I can't think of it. It's because I'm old. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, asking for a friend that's just starting off in Flutter. What would be a good source to stay away from when you're troubleshooting things, or you're like watching a YouTube video and somebody's putting some outdated code on there, and it's failing, and you just like, yeah.
That's really the big thing. Is it's not so much which source per se, but it's how recent was the, what was it? Because that's a, Flutter has changed a lot.
Yeah.
When we got to, Flutter 3, that was a big difference. When we got to Dart 3, that was a big difference. We keep adding things on that are changing things. Stuff keeps getting deprecated, because they're moving forward with everything. So,
I got in a fight with ChatGPT this morning.
ChatGPT.
I corrected it and said you are correct.
Yeah. The problem with ChatGPT as a beginner in Flutter is you don't know when it's being authoritatively wrong a lot of times. And so, it's got, especially if you're using free stuff that was trained a while back, stuff has changed a lot since then. So I'd be careful with using one of those overall. I think they're great for how do I do this? Maybe not so great at how do I do this in Flutter.
Got it.
Stuff that because these algorithms we're using, the algorithms have been around for years, sometimes decades. But how you implement it in Flutter is kind of a, it is not necessarily where it's at its best. Especially stuff that's changed. If you can come to Humpday, that's a great place. Come here every month, and I think any number of us here would be happy to talk to you and give you advice on stuff. That's why the group's here, and so I would definitely encourage that. The Slack and the Discord are helpful. Randall's all over the Discord, so you can probably get he's a superstar in the.
What's the Discord channel? Or is it just Flutter?
Yeah, it's the Flutter Discord channel.
I'll find it.
I joined so long ago, I don't know. But yeah, and I hardly use the Discord, to be honest. But it's a great place to go to ask questions and also to see the answers to questions, because a lot of times people ask a question I didn't even know I had. And I'll see the answer and I'll have learned something that whatever. So there's not anybody walking out there stealing my purse, is there?
Nope.
Okay, good. I think the alarm finally stopped, but okay.
Awesome. Well, great job. Thank you so much. I'm going to go up there.
All right. Thanks for having me, and I'll look forward to next time.
Thank you, everybody that tuned in online. Hopefully we can see you in person one of these days. Again, thank you to Danielle.
Next month.
Next month, Cardin is talking, another speaker,
Nice.
not me. So thank you
Nice.
to everyone that's signing up
Hooray.
for the various speaking engagements. If you have a topic that you do want to talk about here, our only requirement is that you actually come to Flutter Atlanta to do the talk, because we like keeping a little bit of an in-person vibe. So awesome. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in online. This video will be on our YouTube channel to reference whenever you want. So